We're on board Plymouth Cruises Lobster Tales with Paul Quintal, the owner. Paul, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. We've got a great day for this interview.
It's a beautiful day for boat ride, isn't it? Of course, every day is a good day for boat ride. Almost.
We could talk about that another time. Some days are not so pleasant as others, but today's a good one.
Today's a great one. You have a 15-mile-an-hour breeze blowing across my face. Tell me what goes on here on Plymouth on Lobster Tales.
Well, we're a passenger boat, being in business now for the past 25 years, celebrating that milestone in 2021. And my wife, Jean, and I started the business from scratch in 1997.
Your wife is your business partner?
She is, and the two of us have continued to work together, and it's been a good marriage, if you will. Yep. Being able to work with your wife, yep. and she works as hard as I do trying to make things happen. She takes care of the really important stuff, the office, the reservations, managing the crew, and I get the easy job, just go for a boat ride.
And chipping paint?
I do a lot of that too, yes, that's all part of it.
Chasing rust. Okay, good. And you've been in Plymouth that whole time, is that it?
I'm a lifetime Plymouthian.
And you call it?
I grew up here as a kid, went to local schools, went away for a couple of years to school in Boston, and came back, and in 50 years I've made my living on the town wharf here in Plymouth.
Plymouth, especially the waterfront here, must have been tremendously different than it is today.
It is for a lot of different reasons. The fishing fleet in our region has diminished significantly as fish stocks have been depleted here. We used to have, when I was a kid here, back in the late 60s, we used to have 30 or 40 fishing boats that brought fish to this pier each and every day. And here we are, fast forward 50 years, and we're down just to a couple of guys barely hanging on.
Now, are those fishing boats all out of Plymouth, or were they from Situate or Marshfield or wherever?
This is the Plymouth fleet.
This is just Plymouth
fleet. It was
fleet.
very active, a very busy pier, and fish used to get brought in and brought to New Bedford. They were trucked to New Bedford. They were trucked to Boston. Fish were trucked to New York. So It was a big player here back in its day.
So boats from fishing out at Cape Cod Bay come right into here and then ship it. Instead of going through the canal down in New Bedford, they just drop it here.
This was their home port.
Right.
So they would depart from here with a local crew.
Yep. And
people lived and bought gear here and materials, and they supported families here.
Yep.
And that has changed significantly. We do have a fairly large, substantial passenger boat fleet. We got about 15 boats that take people for boat rides of various types of trips, from a harbor tour,
right.
from a whale watch, deep sea fishing trips. We offer some unique trips as well. So
right.
There's quite a variety of stuff where you can get on a boat and go for a ride from this port. We also have a substantial lobstering fleet. And Plymouth has been right on the top of, I think we're second in landings in poundage.
Really?
In the state of Massachusetts.
There must be about 30 lobster boats moored out there.
More than that. There's about 40.
40?
There's about 40 guys who participate on a commercial level.
Yep.
And of course they run with a crew and support the local economy here too as well. So it's a diverse group of people trying to make a living on the pier, and we've seen a lot of progress here in the Plymouth waterfront in the last 15, 20 years in particular.
Right.
And one of them has been dredging. This harbor had not been dredged for 60 years. And we had a lot of shallow spots, and it was a challenge for a lot of boats. And we had as much as, I think, about $20 million total invested in dredging the harbor, maintenance in our mooring field, and it's all starting to come back together here.
Yeah, they just did the dredging last couple of seasons. Burnham came down from the North Shore.
There was a couple different players that shared it.
Yeah.
And we got one little last component to this.
Yep.
It's the area I'm in, this little hole I sit in here, and we still need a little bit of maintenance dredging here, but that'll be the final part of it. It'll be good for the people who come after us. For the next 50 years, it'll be something they can enjoy and not have to worry about the shallows. So and it encouraged more boat traffic,
Does
easier.
your boat sit on the bottom when it's low tide?
We're close.
Close.
We're close. At low tide, we should preface this, but we have a 9-foot tidal fluctuation.
Right.
And we have a full moon, our tide can fluctuate as much as 12 feet. So you come in here at dead low tide.
Sometimes you're looking at those 3 feet.
I'm kicking up mud backing in here.
Yeah.
There's no question. It's shallow. So, but that's on the upswing. That's on the improvement.
And
So
a lot of that dredging, did they do that for Plymouth 400? Was that part of that plan, or was it just maintenance they needed to do?
the presence of the Plymouth 400th plan for 2020, I think it had an influence on the dredging. But there was a lot of different components that were put together with the needs of the commercial fleet, needs of the recreational fleet, transient boaters, and certainly the passenger boats that run in and out of here on a daily basis need water to maneuver.
Right.
So, and the Plymouth 400th helped make that dream come true.
Okay. So tell us about your trips. What do you do here on your little slice of heaven?
Well, our little boat here is a 45-foot fiberglass boat. It's about 29 years old, and we do a lot of protected water trips. And the boat is able to carry 56 passengers, and we put our crew to keep them safe. And we do a variety of trips to keep this buggy moving. And we do a lobster excursion, and this is a trip that engages all ages. We do little peewees all the way up to senior citizen trips, and we go out and haul lobster traps. And there's not many people on the planet that do this type of trip.
Do you pull them up by hand, or do you have a little winch here somewhere?
On a commercial boat, you're going to use a winch.
Right.
But on this boat, we use passengers.
Yeah,
Especially our guests. And yeah, we put the gloves on them. They grab the rope, and we're fishing in fairly shallow water.
I would hope.
And we go out and put them to work. So we let them get a little wet, a little tired. We haul a few traps, and we put the traps in the center of the boat. And I have a lobster tank, a live tank on board, and we put a lot of critters in that, and we show people not only what comes up in our traps, but also the critters that are alive in our tank. Right. And we talk about a variety of specimens that you catch, from little starfish to moon snails to hermit crabs to a variety of crabs that we catch here, and certainly lobsters are part of it as well. And we pass everything out around the boat. It's a very hands-on program, and it's always fun to watch people get involved. Some don't want to be involved, but they just want to watch at a distance, which is all good.
I'm sure you must have had people come back, or kids come back several years after the fact that say, I was out on your boat doing such and such at one time, pulling traps. I would think that...
I've had people come back and ask to work here.
Really?
That it came out. I'll tell you, a unique story is, I had a young lady that came with her class. She was as an 8th grader. And she went through her high school years, and her mother wanted to give her a graduation party. And she wanted to become a marine biologist. And she remembered my trip. And they were for somewhere just north of Boston. And for her birthday, she goes, you know what I really want to do? She says, I want to go back on Lobster Tales. And I want to take my friends out to show them the lobsters. So they chartered the boat with their birthday group.
Yep.
And they came out, and it's pretty impressive that you made an impression of some part of somebody's life, that they came back. And I'm a really smart young lady, and I hope she does well. You know, but it's pretty unique.
It is.
A little self-satisfying.
So you do that? Do you do any deep sea fishing or anything like that? Or?
No, historically, I've been running boats here over 45 years now, and historically, back in the 70s and 80s, I ran passenger boats taking people deep sea fishing. I did a lot of that, and I caught, fishing for cod, bottom dwelling fish out in Cape Cod Bay, Stellwagen, and even further offshore. I used to go one trip 100 miles to catch fish.
That's a long boat ride.
Yep, 6 hours to get there. But in 97, I left that job I had for a long time, and my wife and I wanted to try something on our own. So we had this idea, this concept of starting this business, and in addition to the lobster trips, we've kind of grown into trying different trips. I kind of like to do stuff that nobody else does.
Right.
And we do a pirate cruise for little guys. That's really become popular. We do it for birthday parties,
Yep.
and over the years, we've literally done thousands of birthday parties on this boat.
Who's the lucky person, the sailor that gets to be the Long John Silver?
They love it so much they all have to share the duties. So sometimes I'll have a crew on here, and they'll take turns being the pirate.
Being the pirate.
And the pirate's a pretty good job because they're on that little pirate boat for like 15, 20 minutes. We soak them pretty good with water. They're in a dry suit, so they don't get wet.
Yeah.
And then they come back in, get ready for the next trip. Sometimes I've done as many as 5 or 6 trips a day.
The kids must
back
like
to
it.
back. They have a blast.
Do they?
Yep.
That's
And we have
awesome.
water cannons, and we have a lot of music that's incorporated into the trip, and it goes really well. It's fun to do.
Is it like Pirates of the Caribbean music?
Yes, we do, by the way.
Do you do that?
A little bit of that.
Oh boy. And you have something, I think you said ice cream cruises. What does that entail?
Well, we branched off and just to doing a typical generic harbor tour. We go out and do the harbor tour, but we make ice cream sundaes on board. And we have like a buffet table type setup, and we serve a big bowl of vanilla or chocolate and a whole host of typical toppings you would find on ice cream sundaes, and you kind of make your own personalized sundae.
Cool.
And but we'll do a pizza cruise. We charter the boat out for adult affairs, anniversaries, birthday parties. We have it catered, so we use a lot of the local restaurants here that we would order their food, whatever the guests might need for their particular situation.
Your crew would serve it?
It's usually buffet style.
Okay.
One trip that we do serve is we do a lobster clam bake, and we can do it for 28 people seated.
Yeah.
And Jay Kimball of Woods Fish Market he does all the work, and he puts it all together for me as far as the preparation, the cooking, and they package it all up, and we get it on board 5 minutes before we leave the dock. So it's all piping hot in coolers to keep everything hot. And we have a mooring out by Plymouth Beach. So we motor out 10, 15 minutes to the mooring, and we serve the food immediately. So it's all piping hot. And those are really nice.
They're just hanging off a mooring, no bouncing around.
It's quiet, it's protected. Scenery, usually a pretty nice sunset.
Right.
And we have a liquor license. So we're able to sell beer, wine, and alcohol on board. So we have a bar that we set up for that. Soft drinks, coffee. But we do a lot of these senior citizen trips that come with us as well. And whatever they're looking to do, we try to cater the trip to make them happy and meet their needs.
Right. How has COVID, the pandemic, affected you?
Yeah, COVID was a tremendous burden on any transportation operation, whether you're an airplane, a bus, or a boat. COVID pretty much shut us down.
Right.
And it was kind of an eye-opener for me, having been in business over 23 years at that point. We were booking trips really well in January and February of 2020. And then the COVID hit, and the trips get knocked off and canceled, and the rest is history. But I never thought it would devastate the industries like it has.
Right.
And we were off 95%. This boat barely left the dock in 2020.
It's tough when you have all these businesses. A lot of these boats probably have mortgages on them. You know, you've got to pay your mortgage, you've got no income.
Yeah, my wife and I we live within our means.
Yep.
And that helped get us by the year. You know, the sad part about it for me, maybe the hardest part, is that we employ 9 seasonal employees that come to us. And we've had some terrific high school and college kids. I have 3 teachers who come back, and as a summer job, they're nice enough to help me in my ticket booth. And they're very, very pleasant, professional ladies. And so I wasn't able to, help them come back. And some of them did 2 or 3 or 4 days, whatever they wanted. In my crew, a lot of them would use this for college funds to support their their efforts,
Yep.
and I couldn't bring them back. And that was lousy.
That's a shame.
It is, and you know, so it trickles down to everybody. But I thought COVID would start as we are here. This is, of course, May 11th today.
Yep.
And I thought that things would start to ease up, and they are, as vaccinations have come about, and that we're still using face masks here in Massachusetts, but we're still restricted by capacity. This boat normally can carry 56 passengers. Our governor suggests we can only do 50% capacity. We're on an open boat, and we're still limited to 28 people. So what that does, that restricts me from putting people on this boat that need more capacity.
Right.
And the challenge for me right now is there's no foresight to the future.
Your margins have to be pretty slim running boats like this. And I'm coming down, you were talking about masks and 50% capacity. There was a sign on the dock at the top of the gangway that said masks are required on the dock. Now we're sitting here, we have a 15-mile-an-hour breeze blowing across our face heading outward, and we're supposed to sit here with a mask. I think it's kind of silly myself. That's obviously my opinion, that they require down on boats. And when a boat's moving, it's moving 10 knots, 10, 11, 12 miles an hour, breeze blowing past your face, and they still require you to have masks.
I think the masks are going to be in people's minds for some time to come. It's so been deeply embedded into us,
Yeah.
and we all have different opinions
Yeah.
as to the level of protection we need.
Right.
As an example, I was at the dentist early this morning, and the lady at the counter, you would think she was this dentist really took good precautions. She was in a cage,
The clean
plastic cage, blocked up, no openings. I got a business card for my next appointment, slid under a little slot. I needed a pen to write out a check. She goes, "Keep the pen, we don't want it back."
Like something out of Andromeda Strain.
Well, the point I'm making is we all have different levels of protection,
Right.
and how we feel about it.
Right.
And I'm not one to comment on other people's opinions.
Right.
Some people are going to have a mask maybe forever now.
Right.
I don't know the science behind it. We certainly have all heard it long enough over the last year, but I'm not going to comment on other people and how they need to protect themselves.
Right.
Because we all have, some have serious medical conditions, maybe don't want to get the vaccination, so they would have different issues if they got the COVID. So, that's to each his own, and I would respect.
We just have to
respect that.
Respond and evolve going forward with.
Yeah, we'll see where things are in a year. It's going to take some time to let this go by.
Yeah.
But what I want to comment on is, at least in Massachusetts here, you can get on a jet, on a flight to Florida today, on a 200-passenger jet, and you'll be shoulder to shoulder with 200 other people in this closed, contained environment. You're going to have a mask on, but no restrictions, leaving out of Logan Airport. Here we are in an open environment in the air, and our passenger boats are restricted to 50%.
Right.
So I fail to see the equity in some of the decisions.
Right.
And I need to go back to work. We're a year and a half out here, and my patience is getting thin.
Right.
And we need to get the show rolling here. And they can't tell me August 1st, okay, you're good to go, because the party's over for the 2021 season.
Right.
It's over.
Right.
We need to have decisions and at least some leadership to tell us, what are you thinking in the future? They have a lot of medical experts that know way better than I do how to anticipate some of this stuff. We've had the trial run now last year. Okay, we see it opening up. There's relaxing things a little bit, but now it's time to let us know where we can be, what we can do.
Yeah.
If I could talk to Governor Baker, I would love to sit down and have a conversation with him about this, and at least share my thoughts on where things need to be here. A lot of people depend on the summer months to make a living here. This boat does 65% of its revenue July and August.
Yep.
We run April 1st to the end of October, 7 days a week in season. But the money is made in July and August for everybody in this little tourist community,
Right.
for
Yeah.
the most part. So
You have to make hay while the sun is shining.
I
as they
don't
say.
disagree with that.
Yep. You have to do that. Okay. So August, September's probably late in the season. October's definitely late in the season. The season's over. What do you do with the boat?
Well, we're on this boat pretty much 7 days, starting in March, prepping it for the season,
Okay.
dumping it in the water, and I very rarely get off this boat anytime during that 7-month period. You might have a storm event, but you're down here babysitting the boat and taking care of your lines, your fenders, and adjusting stuff. But you pretty much, you eat, sleep, and drink this business for 7 months. And the good thing is, we do have a little more of a relaxed off season. And I always tend to find some extra stuff to do
Yep.
in the off season, some long-term maintenance on the boat. But as soon as November comes, I purposely get off the boat for a couple of months. I got 3 grandkids that I like to spend time with. They live nearby, so I do stuff with them, and we see them a lot. So that's the focus, and that's what's important. But in the off season, we lay the boat up, we winterize it, and get off it at least for a couple of months.
Sure.
And in January and February, it's not much fun being on a boat in this part of the world. So that's kind of how it works.
It gets a little chilly. So let's talk about marketing. What kind of marketing do you do with local businesses? You talked about having food relationships when you have cruises that require food. What about other types of businesses?
Well, we're involved more locally than we are globally. We're a small business, and we're not going to draw people from too much around the planet. If people are in this area visiting New England, they may swing through here to do, a lobster trip with me. But we are partnered with some tour companies. I have a tour company on the Cape that brings me 45 trips every year. They're mostly senior citizen trips, and they come here, they spend time in this part of Massachusetts and seeing the sites that we offer here. But we also, one of the trips they like to share with them is my lobster trip. So we take them out, and we get people from all over the country that and come out. But we've had people also from all over the world. I've had people here from Japan and Asia and Europe, and who come to visit our region, and they come in and they want to do something that's quite unique. We are certainly involved forever with the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce. I think that's really important, and to support them in what they do for our community. We have a local tourism group here, Destination Plymouth. It's cplymouth.com, and they list and support and embrace all of this community, and they go out into the field with American Bus Tours and other venues to bring people to this community. In Plymouth's a small region, and some people say, well, you might have a boat sitting over here, that might be your competition. I wish there were more boats in Plymouth, because the more we have here, the more is an opportunity to bring people in. As an example, we're sitting next to a boat that does 6-pack charters. It takes people striper fishing. Well, sometimes those people come down here and they pick up your brochure. And you know what? Let's go take our grandkids out on an ice cream cruise at the end of the week. We went deep sea fishing today. We'll go take an ice cream cruise and take the kids out. So one business helps another, and
Right.
vice versa.
Vice versa.
It works that way. But we have a visitor's booth right across the street from us here on Water Street, and we have another way to get our brochures out on exit 5 up in South Plymouth here, right off the highway on Route 3.
Yeah.
But we advertise locally
Yeah.
within a 50-mile radius. That's a good part of our marketing locally. We have a company that distributes our brochure throughout probably a 50 to 75-mile radius.
You
So,
personally send out a business brochure? Your business?
We print a lot of brochures,
Okay.
and we distribute ours locally. Once a week I go out and fill the racks that allow us to do that. There are some companies who own the racks, and we hire them as a distribution company to make the routes, make sure everything's full, and so that's a little bit of our marketing
That's good.
plan.
That's great. That's a lot of
We
stuff.
invest in the guidebooks, the dining books that are
I've seen
offered
those
in
up
this-
at the Plymouth office. There's a big rack of different types of businesses, restaurants, sightseeing.
Yep. Oh yeah, we're all part of
adventures.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And I get the big picture that all of us together need to help the restaurants support
Right.
one part of it,
Right.
we support another part of it,
Yep.
and there's nobody that gets on a boat here that does a deep sea trip, a whale watch, or my trips that doesn't stop and probably spend some additional money at a gift shop or buy a fish dinner locally, or
A lobster head.
maybe rent a room or two. So it all helps the group here in town.
That's
and
awesome. Now we've got two Harbor Master ribbies, rigid inflatable boats right here tied up to the wharf. How are they to work with? Pretty
Harbor
good?
Master is very good to work with.
Awesome.
Yep, our harbor master is named Chad Hunter,
Yep.
and Chad is a younger fella. I call him younger now. He's in his 40s, but he's had a pretty good tenure here as an assistant, and now he's in charge of the thing. And he's brought a lot of progress and changes to our harbor. He was one that helped us get the harbor dredged. I've been on a local group here called the Plymouth Harbor Committee.
Yep.
And we are asked to serve the town of Plymouth here. I've been on the board about 22 years, and my designation is to represent the passenger boat industry. And certainly Chad Hunter, our harbor master, is part of our group. We meet once a month, usually the first Thursday. They've been Zoom meetings this year. But he's very involved. He helped us replace a pier. We had a pier just east of us here called the T-Wharf. Pretty dilapidated. It had holes in it. It was covered with plywood. Plywood had holes in it. And the T-Wharf is now gone.
As all good piers are, covered with plywood.
Those are bad piers. I disagree with you. If you got plywood on a wood structure, it's a matter of time.
Ones that have seen a lot of work.
But anyway, the T-Wharf is long gone,
Yep.
and it's now replaced with a beautiful $4 million concrete pier just east of us.
That was quite the operation. I would be down here a couple of days a week watching them pull those old pilings out and driving in the new pilings. It's quite the operation.
Yep, and it's always been difficult in my 50 years here trying to see progress in this port, and just one thing it's a commercial pier.
Yep.
So it's designed for commercial boats. We've also added floats. That we got 5 more floats coming this spring to allow more dockage.
Is that on the
for
outside?
recreational boats.
Is that on the outside? Or?
No, it's actually, we put floats in a protected area
Okay.
to protect them from wave action.
Yeah.
So they're going to be just on the north side of Woods Fish Market by Lobster Hut Restaurant. And we have a boat ramp that had, the ramp needed care, so they ripped the ramp where you would launch a trailered boat, and it's all been redesigned with better angles, better grip, and that's been a new thing. We also have a brand new Harbor Masters building, and I believe the final price tag on it was $4.5 million. It's a beautiful building, and next to it is a public restroom, and there's showers for transient boaters. We never had anything to offer that when people come to Plymouth. So you might have somebody traveling up and down the coast in their sailboat. They make Plymouth a stopover. Now they can come ashore. They can wash their clothes with a washer and dryer that's available. They can take showers and use the restrooms open to everybody. So that's been a nice addition as well. And that's in the state boat ramp area.
When I was in the yacht club in Boston, we used to have boats come in from Europe that travel across the ocean in the tour of the country.
Yep.
They drop an anchor out at the end of the fleet, come in, use the yacht club, showers, whatever we had, and then move on to the next destination. Yeah, it's important.
Yep, we see a lot of that.
Yeah, it's important. All right, wrapping up. It's been a great interview. Any last parting comments you'd like to make?
No, I just
Anything we missed?
nope. You know, I bow to the COVID thing. You know, I get really worked up about it now, my later years, and I see things differently than many others. I respect everybody's opinions on it and how they handle things. On board this boat, we do everything right.
Yep.
Start to finish.
By the book.
Our purpose is to keep people safe, whether at the dock or on the water, especially on this boat, and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to follow protocols to the T and do the right thing for everybody, as well as the rest of the boating community here. But I just wish that everybody would, you know, enjoy the summer ahead here. Go see your grandkids and have some hugs with them and do some stuff.
Come down here to Plymouth Cruises at aboard Lobster Tales, spend some money, have some ice cream, shoot some pirates. And Paul, thank you very much for talking with you this morning.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Jim. Thank you.
It was great. Thanks.